Hello again, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining me. We are here for the next round of the TFC Mad Monday series. It's the Champs Elysees in Paris. A nice flat route, but it does have a little lump in it as you lead up to the sprint, the Litus sprint. And there'll be two of us, Swift Scotland riders today, along with a whole herd of Rhinos. So let's take a look at this. Flat race is generally quite welcome. And countdown is off and away we go. I put down power on the start because I'm still not quite used to the lower cat TFC Mad Monday races. Normally in a Zwift race, everyone goes off like a bat out of hell. However, it appears that in these races, everyone's just sort of gentle. Everyone sort of rolls out nicely. Nobody tries to break themselves. So, yeah, we'll back off and down to 300 watts. And yeah, it's a nice civil start. There's our teammate in the bright pink, Scott Meakin, and he will do a fair bit of animating in this race. So we skip forward to the first go of the underpass. We're still in the lead in here, and I decide that we just want to test people's legs a little bit and see what they'll do if someone tries to break off the front. So down the hill, and on the other side we punch in a couple of extra gears on the watt bike and our first little out the saddle. I'd also point out that I hadn't warmed up before this. I was busy putting the child to bed, so I needed a warm-up, so this was part of my warm-up. And by the looks of things, they would let you go. We guess they believe that the bunch will catch, which they usually do. And onwards we go, and this brings us to just after the first time up the Litus sprint, and you see Meakin off the front, and he gets his head down and starts going. Again, the pack just not interested in chasing. There was no intermediate sprint on lap 1. They are on 2, 3 and 4. And they just let him go. And down the road he went. And the gap would open out. And it would continue opening as nobody was going to chase. So off he goes. See you later. Forward we go now, and we get to the first intermediate sprint. You can see the Champs Elysees, the Arc de Triomphe up at the end. By this point, Scott's still got about 14 seconds, but Rhinos have come in team time trial formation. The full herd at the front of the race, punching out between 4 and 5 watts a kilo. They are determined to bring this one back. They do come with numbers. They come extremely well organised, and yeah, they're quite a team. They know exactly what they're doing. It's actually quite impressive. You got to give them credit. But you see that gap is just tumbling now. It was 14 seconds. It's now down to 9 and 8. The sprint is just up here. You can almost see it in the mini map. And it's all uphill, 2%, 3%, 4%. It's quite a grind up here. It really does start to take it out of you as you approach the sprint, but 6 watts a kilo from the chase group, and yeah, that gap is just falling away. Falling and falling. And they will be caught just before the arch. You can see my heart rate's already 195 beats a minute. This is, it's quite the effort. As we pull up, now the gap's just down to 4 seconds, and he's been passed. It was a solid effort though, full credit for that. Definitely worth the price of admission. You don't buy a ticket, you don't win a raffle. I'm sure there's some other cliches I can put in. But as we get up here, it is going to be a win for Starks from the Rhinos. Second is going to be Helena from the Rhinos as well, and we'll take third over the line. So everyone came back together, and that brings us on to lap 2. And I think we know the drill here. The sprint's up ahead, the road starts to pick up, and you will very quickly see, if you look at the numbers on the right, they go white as people start to put in efforts. And there we go, Rhino off the front again, Starks. So we decide not to just let him go, chase after him, the two of us. And there's a second Rhino back there as well, along with one of the guys from Team Italy, Martianoli. So we pull him back, but it's still heavy going, heart rate well over 190 again as we punch on. The sprint is still somewhere away at 3%. It looks close, but it really isn't. It's a proper grind up the hill, and we start to lay off a little bit, and the road flattens, and then it will pick up again. In all honesty though, I don't know why this is the sprint they chose. I would have just chosen the flat sprint, but I don't pick the races. So still over 5 watts a kilo there from Starks, and Sloan pulls past. I don't have it in me, and that's the 1, 2, 3. Starks and Sloan from Rhinos take 1 and 2. We'll take third once again, and on we go. As again, everyone came back together, and once again, you can see this time though, the Team Italy rider has started to put in a bit of an effort and get to the front. The sprint is looming, the road starts to lift, and everyone bunches up. The Italian comes back into the fold. Now for this sprint, I had already decided there was no sprint next lap. It was just going to be the finale, and I was not going to try and contest this. I was happy just to hold the pack. However, our teammate did try and contest this, and contest it he did. 7 watts a kilo, by the way. If you look at the numbers there, 8.5 watts a kilo. What power from Scott. Make an absolute powerhouse. You know, after 40 minutes racing, I don't think I'm getting anywhere near 7 watts a kilo. But over the line they go, and indeed Scott Meekin takes the win from Gordon Sloan and Mikael Rydström from Swedish Lifters, and that's the first time there's been a different name on the list from, well, a different team anyway. Swedish Lifters getting their first podium at the intermediates. So on to the last lap, and if you look in the bottom left, I'm on my phone and sending a message over to Scott and saying, by the way, there is no intermediate sprint this lap, so if you go, they might think you've messed up and they'll let you go and not chase you, and you might be able to break away and see if it's worth it. And sure enough, there he goes. Another 7 watts a kilo effort. Phenomenal after 52 minutes of riding. And again, true enough, they do not chase. And Rhinos sent one rider after him, just to keep him in check. And presumably they were just sandbagging. But this led to some interesting conversations. So as we skip forward here, if you look on the right hand side, the text will come up from the Italian rider, we're about 7 seconds. He says, "Let's chase." Wow. I sometimes think it's the little conversations that take place in Zwift races that are quite funny. So knowing that I've got a rider up the road in the break, that's going to be a no thanks from me. No one else has teammates. Everyone else is kind of just on their own. There's a couple of Viking riders, but that was really it. And again, if you look on the right hand side, from the Rhinos, Gordon Sloan, he also gives it a no thanks. We've got a rider up there as well, not interested in chasing that. So the Italian does the work. He brings them back, and indeed with just under 4 kilometers to go, it is Gruppo Compacto once again. Everyone's back together. We go forward now, and With 1.7 to go, we are now starting to think about the sprint, and I decided that coming out of the underpass seemed like as good a place as any to try and pull away. Unfortunately, I was wrong. It wasn't as good a place as any to try and pull away. And so I put down some watts, and I was just not really getting much. We had Starks on our tail here. So up the watts, 6.5 watts a kilo, and just broaching on 7 for a second. But just not allowed much in the way of a getaway there. We were pretty quickly shut down as Sloan and Siverson and Martinoli all closed us down. So off the power we went, and into the final sprint. We got about 600 metres left here. You can see the arch in the mini-map, and my eyes are fixed on the wattages of people on the right hand side, watching them like a hawk for when somebody makes that move. And we're now on to the final straight. Things are picking up, and there goes the move. It's Helena from the Rhinos. She puts the power down, we go chasing, and she was swiftly caught as we moved back into the draft. And it's a group of 3. It's me, it's Martinoli of the Italians, and it's Meekin of Swift Scotland as well. The power goes down, but it's not enough, and it's going to be second and third for Swift Scotland. Martinoli from Team Italy, Meekin second, I'm third. A great race. Remember to subscribe, and I will see you next time.